Well, talk about Americana. We drove down the eastern seaboard and pulled into Plymouth, Massachusetts, you know, home of the Plymouth Rock. You might say our hosts, the Boderthas, own a piece of the rock, or at least a piece next to the rock.
Good morning, Susan.
Hi, Ron.
How are you?
Hi,
Ron. Great to have you here in Plymouth.
Well, thank you very much. Me and my rolling workshop.
Looks great.
What a thing to have in your front yard. What a sculpture.
Well, Ron, that's the Forefathers Monument built in the late 1800s. And on it is the name of each individual who came over on the Mayflower.
Wow.
And this house right here is the Monument House. And for years, the caretaker for the monument lived here.
Right here.
Right here.
Right.
So this house is 150 years old.
You bet.
right.
Can you show me the inside?
Sure.
Certainly.
Love
Come
to
on
have
in.
you.
Follow you guys. Oh, look at this.
Old house, old room, Ron. As you can tell, where the wall meets the ceiling, we do have a problem. We had some flat molding up there that we took down, and we'd like to get some crown molding up there.
Okay, we can do that.
And that's not all. We want to put a cornice box over this old pipe here. It's a steam pipe. It
Over
gets
this pipe?
Gets pretty hot.
So where will that go? Above?
It'll come out from the wall,
Uh-huh.
and it'll cover the tops of the curtains, which will
Okay.
be hanging underneath it.
And it will
it'll go
continue over to this
all the
side.
way across to that side.
And the insulation will keep the drapes from getting scorched.
That's right.
I think we can do both of those. Let's measure up.
That's great.
I've drawn a working line here, which is going to be the approximate end of the cornice. We're going to make the cornice out of 3/4 inch plywood. What I want to check is to be sure that I've got a space here between the pipe and the inside of the cornice box. And let's say that's about a 1/2 inch. That should be enough. So let's measure the distance then from the edge of the window frame out to that line. That's 5 inches.
Susan measures 5 inches down on her side. Then we use the level to draw a vertical or plumb line down from the ceiling. The cornice will be 7 1/4 inches out from the wall in order to clear the pipe and allow space for the curtain rod.
And then we should come down far enough to cover the top of the sill. I'd say about 11.5 or 12 would do that. We'll put it at the bottom of it about right here.
Good.
So let's go cut some wood, huh?
Great.
Now how about this, huh? New portable workshop, new saw. I mean, eat your heart out, right?
Honey, this is on the Christmas list.
You know, this is the material that we're going to be using for the cornice right here. It's 3/4 inch thick birch veneered plywood, nice and flat.
Turns out Susan is pretty handy, and she stepped right up to the saw.
Push it in, all the way in. Excellent. And this will be one of our ends right here. Now this is how we're going to join the front of the cornice to the sides, okay, with something called a miter joint. It actually requires 2 bevel cuts on the ends of the lumber. So we're going to set this saw up, or reset this saw up for that cut. Rich, if you could loosen that up and tilt it over to 45 degrees there. Okay, good. I've got it.
For a really strong hold, we apply glue with a brush to the beveled edges, then use these corner clamps to hold the piece steady while we secure it with our nail gun.
This is a nail gun. I got 6 penny finish nails in here. You're left-handed, right?
I am.
Okay.
I like using a combination of glue and nails. This way we don't have to wait for the glue to set completely, and we can move on.
All right, this is the top of the cornice. Now, I'm really putting this in here for structural strength as much as anything else, and also to keep the dust off the top of your drapes. Now we're going to cut out this top to fit over that steam pipe, which was the reason for this whole project in the first place. Very nice. Good. All right, now we'll put a little trim on this, and we're just about ready to take it inside. Yeah, this is perfect timing. I just got the brackets up.
We use 2-inch right-angle brackets for mounting the cornice to the wall. And there you have it.
So is that what you had in mind, Susan?
That's just
That'll do the
perfect.
trick for you?
That's just perfect.
Okay. So we've got a whole bunch of crown molding to put up now, right?
With your name on it.
My name on it. I'm not going anywhere for a while, I can tell. All right, let's start on that part.
We're ready.
Now the situation we have here is kind of typical of a lot of old houses, walls and ceilings that are not perfectly straight. So to help us put the crown molding up, I'm going to use these little corner blocks which I've cut. We'll put one of these every few inches, every place we can find a stud or some bracing.
To attach them, I'll first put some construction adhesive on the back and then nail them to the wall studs that we located earlier. I think we might have a problem. As I'm getting ready to install the molding, I come across a little problem up on the ceiling, some sagging plaster. So I decide to perform a little surgery. I apply some quick-drying patching plaster, have some lunch, and before you know it, we're back on schedule. There, that's a much better fit.
You know, even for me, cutting crown molding can be a little bit confusing. You probably had the same experience from time to time. The key is just to go slowly and keep double checking yourself. A couple things to keep in mind though. When you're cutting crown, you're going to be cutting it in the same position that it's installed, except that it's bottom side up, if you will. The fence back here you can think of as the wall. The table down here you can think of as the ceiling. So we're going to hold it on that diagonal position the same way we would when it's installed, but bottom side up. These crown molding stops here and here will also make cutting this material easier. It holds it in the correct position. Okay, so we're all set. Let's make our first cut now, right on the end of this piece of molding.
Now we measure each piece of molding along the back side, that's the side that touches the wall, and start cutting. Finally, time to hang the molding. But first, we mark the position of the wooden blocks on the wall so we know exactly where to nail. Now that all the crown molding is in place, it's time to fill the nail holes. A finger and a dab of spackle should do the trick. We let the spackle thoroughly dry, which usually takes about 30 minutes, and then sand it lightly with some fine sandpaper. Now, despite our careful fitting, there's still some gaps between the top of the molding and the ceiling. But these can be easily concealed by filling them with a bead of painter's caulk and then smoothing it out with the best tool for the job, once again, our finger. By carrying the molding across the new cornice, it really becomes part of the room. Well, we didn't beat the sunset, but we did a heck of a good job, if I do say so. Are you happy?
We're very pleased.
Very impressive. Transforms the entire room, Ron.
You know, I'm a restorer at heart, and I have an expression which I think is appropriate for this room. It's good as old.
All right, put it here.
Go team!